Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the regular meeting notice for today at 6:01 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Tam is not here. Commissioner Sai, Commissioner Wu,
Present.
Vice Chair Solon,
Present.
and Chairperson Yan is not here.
The agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: City Hall, the Crowell Public Library, and the Stoneman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Recreation Commission on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Recreation Commission may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into a microphone. I would now like to ask Management Analyst Shiganaga to explain how public comment will work.
Thank you. For each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment. We will accept comments in 3 ways. We will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to me if you wish to speak on an item. We will then ask for comments from our Zoom participants. When we ask for public comments via Zoom, there are 2 ways you can let us know you would like to speak. First, you can use the raise hand feature, which is a button that's found by clicking on participants and then clicking on raise hand on the bottom right side of the screen. Please do not use this feature until we've asked for public comment, or else we may not see it or know which item you are asking to speak on. As a second option, you can send a message using the chat box saying you would like to speak on this particular item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. I will then read into the record any public comments received by email for that particular item. Due to the technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting emailed public comment, the city has instituted a 3 p.m. cutoff the day of a Recreation Commission meeting for email public comments. This is to ensure there is sufficient time to gather and present the emailed comments at the meeting. Any comments received after 3 p.m. the day of a meeting will be included in the public comment record, but will not be read at the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll move on. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Okay. Moving on to commissioner reports. Do any commissioners have anything to report at this time? Commissioner Tam. Commissioner Sai. Commissioner Wu.
I just wanted to briefly say I was at the Chinese New Year Festival. It was a wonderful event. I did meet Miss Johnson there, and I thought it was well run in general. I know the Chinese club took the lead on it, but I did talk to several constituents, and I think everyone was incredibly happy about the event, the cultural representation, the amount of participation by everyone. I think it was just an excellent event in general. So.
Excellent, thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay, I would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? Seeing no one, Kristen, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
At this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. Do I have any comments, questions from the commission? Commissioner Tam, Commissioner Sai, Commissioner Wu.
No.
May I get a motion to approve the minutes? Motion.
Second.
Great. May we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sai,
Yes or no? Yeah, approved.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
And Vice Chairperson, Vice Chairperson Solon.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second item on the agenda is the Director and Recreation Manager Report. Can we please have a presentation from Community Service Director Johnson and Recreation Manager? This first time I'm saying it out loud. Covarrubias. Did I say it right?
Very good, very good. Thank you, Vice Chairman Solon, and good evening. We, as usual, start our meetings off with the Director and Manager's report. Begins in your packet on page 9. And the first discussion item, I'm going to go ahead and let Eddie talk a little bit about a personnel update. We are very excited about an internal promotion. This happens to be one of Eddie's immediate staff members who have been with him since he's been here. So Eddie, if you could just elaborate a little bit on Charlie O'Connor's.
Yeah, so I have the pleasure of Charlie O'Connor, which has been a long-time recreation specialist in our department, has been promoted to maintenance assistant. So some of you might know he's a team with the National Little League. He's around every single special event that we have. And so now he's been delegated the responsibility of being a maintenance assistant, which will cover library, Stoneman, the San Marino Community Center once that's open, and Lacey Park. So we hope that with Charlie it proves or shows how great of an employee he is, because he always does a great job. So I'm sure he'll be really good for the community.
This is somewhat of a promotional opportunity for Charlie. He's been with the department for 20 years. This happens to be a PERS position, correct? And they works how many hours? 25 hours, but it does get PERS benefits. And so that is a nice, upward, professional development for him. And we love that we got to retain his institutional knowledge, and hopefully there'll be some professional growth for him in the future. The next item I wanted to talk to you about and to share is that the city, we are in the middle of the 2023-24 budget development process. So that has begun. I outlined some of the steps in the staff report. We started out with the January being the development of council and staff-driven initiatives. They did show up on the front page of the Tribune last week. There was an article. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to read about it, but we do have an initiative that you'll hear a little bit more about. After we go through the priority initiatives process with council, we will then go on to discuss and work internally to develop our capital improvement plan and projects that will be earmarked for next fiscal year. You'll be hearing a little bit about that. Then in April, departments will present their preliminary operating budgets, and the date for the CSD budget, which encompasses the recreation division as well as the library. We do not present them separately. That date in April has not been set. So as soon as I know, we will be probably giving you a preview of the operating budget if there's time. It is a very much a condensed process here for the city. So if it works that we can get our operating budget kind of finalized before, say, that April date, it's a matter of timing and when our department is chosen to present as per council schedule. So we'll keep you posted on that. The second item I have outlined in the report is an update on the San Marino Center. I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. I did provide the link to the construction updates. Don't know if you had a chance to look at that. And then we have determined that we are aiming for an August or September grand opening. That is not set in stone yet, but we've at least feel like as a executive team, the city administration feels confident that we can now start at least aiming and targeting that and hopefully putting it out there. Substantial completion happens, and if I mentioned this last meeting, will happen sometime in May, end of May. That'll give us June, July, and August to kind of move into the building, get all the FF&E in place, and any of the long-term lead items kind of hopefully will come in that were owner purchased items. And then, if everything falls into place, we'll hit the possibly, September 5th. I'm thinking in my mind, if it's not in August, because that's a dark month for council. Nobody really meets in August. So, and then we have Labor Day in there. So, that's kind of everybody's kind of hoping that that's when the building will open. So if you get asked, that's the company line at this moment. Also on page 10, the new council liaisons to the advisory bodies. In January, council met and our appointed delegate for this commission is the mayor, Steve Taltz, with our I'm making sure I have the terminology correct. The alternate is Stephen Wong, council member Wong. So the role of these two, the council liaisons is what they're called collectively. Their role is to empower the commission to function independently and autonomously, serve as a point for any questions from city staff or for you. If you all had a question that you wanted to run past as it relates to the functionality of this commission, they're your liaison as well. And their emails can be found on the city's website. And then they'll also participate in the selection process of any new commissioners. On bottom of page 10, we are looking for volunteers as always for the upcoming all city track meet. So if you guys are around and interested, that is a really wonderful event. And I know Roland has volunteered. Everybody, I think many of you have volunteered at our event. So we are looking for folks. That event is on March 10th, as you can see on page 11 under upcoming events. We've highlighted the two opportunities that if you do choose to volunteer for an event, help us out. Those are the two upcoming events. And on page 11, we've also highlighted many events that we have going on and programming. If you have any questions, I'll stop here. If you guys have any questions about anything I've reported on up to this point? If not, I'll go ahead and let Eddie expand on operational staff briefing and some updates quick. Before I move over to Eddie, I would like to compliment again Kristen Shiginaga, our management analyst, on being our project manager on our activity guide. Don't know if this has arrived in your mailboxes or not, but it is now hot off the press on the streets. Kristen does a wonderful job of getting us across the line and to the printer on time. It is a labor of love by about 10 of us. So, and we have a lot of great new programs, events, services for, this is considered our spring guide. So, Eddie.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, so on the bottom of page 11, I just want to update to all that we began our winter contract classes in January. So kids come back from winter break, parents need some classes or activities that they would like to sign them up for. So we began in January. We also had an allergist come in to talk to our seniors about springtime allergies and what they could or what they can help, how they can help themselves at home to alleviate some of those allergies. And then also we began with our distribution of the Valentine's Day grant. We collected those already, so they're going to be distributed tomorrow to 100 San Marino seniors. So this is like one of those programs that really tugs at your heart, because I've been lucky enough to go deliver some of these hearts, and just the joy that some of these seniors get from receiving these is just, it can really bring a tear to your eye because they're so excited and so happy. And then all the feedback we get from them, they actually write letters and notes. So we'll share that when we get some of those on the next commission meeting. And then this is also an award-winning program. CPRS District 13 gave us an award for the health, wellness, and community life award last year for this program because of the intergenerational type of commingling. So we were really proud of achieving that from the California Parks and Recreation Society. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions about our January programming? Yes.
Quick comments and questions. So first on the Valentine's Daygram. Yes. So on the Valentine's Daygram, my daughter participated and made a Valentine, and she was asking me who it's for, and I said it's for a senior citizen, and she asked what's a senior citizen and explained it all, and then one day her heart disappeared. So and went to a senior citizen that she had never met. So the one idea is just to kind of encourage further intergenerational connection, is maybe to host some sort of event for the seniors, like pair up a senior and a kid to, have a donut together or something, so that there's actually some in-person interaction. But yeah, it's great to hear about, how well received that event is. And then just really quickly, wanted to check that the time for the volunteer was correct. There's 3:45 to 5, and then there's a 4:30 to 9 p.m. Is that?
Yes, that's
Oh, okay.
correct. Yeah, so 3:40, we start registration at 4 p.m. So those 15 minutes allows us to briefly update you or orientate you on what we do on the process, on how we intake the participants. It gets really crazy for a short amount of time. So there's a lot of interaction with the public there. And then the second set of duties is just being at the main table, handing awards, making sure every kid that places or gets a medal. We send the information to Mitch, so he announces all the names, no one gets left out. So that's the second portion of the volunteering. So those are two areas. If you're feeling a little bit more energetic, we can always use or have people help us out with the softball throw or the long jump bit. That's a lot of raking, but totally available if anyone is interested in helping with that, getting a workout that evening.
And last question was just for the city council liaison. Do they tend to attend these events, or is it we would then proactively reach out if we had any questions or concerns by email or phone number? And I guess because of Brown Act considerations, we could do so individually,
Yeah,
but could not do
individually,
so
not-
in a group.
Right,
Okay.
right. No group, individually. Since I've been here, we also have liaisons to the Library Board of Trustees. There were council members who liaised to that board, and they did come to the meetings. One was particularly active and came religiously. I know they are asked to attend. We're a new commission, so what are we on maybe our fourth meeting? So, and then there are new delegates. So I don't know. I know that they are encouraged to come, and I know I have used them on several occasions, not yet for anything that is rec commission related, not yet. So we hope they would come, and but they are there to provide guidance and counsel to us. So.
Okay, any additional questions? I would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Okay, at this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. Do we have any further questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Sai, Commissioner Wu? Okay, the third item on the agenda is the discussion of fiscal year 2023-24 capital improvement plan projects for the Recreation Division. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Recreation Manager Covarrubias?
Yeah, thank you. This item is related to the CIP or capital improvement plan and projects that were submitted already to the as a preview to the finance director and finance team. They are related to just specifically the Recreation Division, and I have to give compliments to my cohort here, Manager Covarrubias. When I first got here, I felt the two vehicles. I know you've already read your packet. We have two vehicles that have aged quite a bit and needed to be replaced. We had never submitted a CIP for vehicle replacement before out of this division, but I asked Eddie to take the lead. I've done it many times in a past life, but Eddie really did a wonderful job doing all the research and preparing the reports. So I'm going to go ahead and let him kind of give you an overview of those vehicle requests.
Thank you, Kathy. So yes, we currently have 2 vehicles in the recreation division that we use, and they also help with library organization and so basically the vehicles are a community services vehicle. We currently have 2 vehicles. One is a 1997 Chevy Suburban that has served its purpose. It's currently this year has been in the shop the majority of the year. We haven't been able to get it back. But it is one of the vehicles that we count on to lock in things like podiums and things like that. So this vehicle, it was reported to be replaced it should have been replaced like around 2019 in the report. And it's already it's been a substantial amount of time since we've been able to use it fully to its full extent. The other vehicle that we have is a 1994 Chevy pickup truck, and that one also has had issues. It's really been deteriorating over the years. There's been a lot of issues. Every year we have to really pump in a lot of money to make the adequate replacements and fixes. So our department is really heavily dependent on these vehicles because we do transport a lot of equipment from our storage in Stillman over to Lacey Park. If there's setups that need to be made in different facilities like that, here, for example, our staff need to use these vehicles and we need to be able to get around the city to be able to address some of these requests that not only put in by the city departments, but sometimes other organizations that need assistance, like we work on the holiday house. Our staff go out there to monitor the security areas. So these vehicles are pretty old. We have been through a study a few years ago, 2019. Again, we recommended that they be replaced, and we'd like to replace them with our low emissions vehicles, which is a Ford F-150 truck that we could use to carry our heavy equipment, as well as a Ford cargo van, and that van would also allow us to secure items that we don't want in open air, such as like podiums, things that might get wet or might be subject to the elements. Part of the vehicles would be going through AQMD funds, so we are currently assessing whether they qualify. We try to read the fine print and make sure that we will be able to get some funds or some money to be able to pay for these 2 items. But these 2 vehicles are very necessary for our department, which Kathy brought forth, and it's time to replace them, and we totally fully agree with that. So that's basically it, and I'm ready for questions if there's any.
Now, this is a receive and file, but if you do have any questions, absolutely, we wanted you guys to be aware that we are making sure that our staff are, equipped with safe vehicles that they can, utilize and drive around town.
To clarify, it's actually not a receive and file.
Oh, it's not?
They're
a motion.
supporting staff's
Oh,
recommendations.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Potentially considering or recommending.
Oh, I
alternatives.
apologize. Thank you for the point of clarity.
Okay, I would like to open the item up for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time?
Sure, why not?
Could you state your name and address for the record?
So 2530 Sycamore Drive. This one?
I need to have it.
Okay, I'm sorry. San Marino. Regarding the vans, the AQMD, I believe that it qualifies if it's like a compressed natural gas or somewhat of a hybrid or electric. So you may want to look into that because I feel that it's important to have these environmentally friendly or getting there to be we should be at the forefront of having that conversion other than going back to gasoline or diesel. So I truly recommend that when the commission does please consider clean vehicles just for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Okay. At this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. Do we have any further questions or comments from the commissioners?
I have some questions. Actually, the first one was that AQMD requirement. Well, I guess it's not a requirement, but the qualifications. And I am interested to know whether or not those cars would, those vehicles would fall in. And if they didn't, then what would be the alternate plan? Would we just, because it seems like the idea would be using at least part of those funds from the AQMD to supplement the purchase.
Right, so we have, these vehicles have been spec'd out to meet the AQMD requirements, and that's the only way we'd be able to get that funding. Is if they meet the qualifications, so we've been working with our finance manager to make sure that we select the vehicles that qualify for these low emission standards, so these vehicles that are spec'd out do qualify for that funding, and they're considered low emission.
Any additional questions? No, okay. Shall we move on this item? Okay, like to move to, let's see, submit for the request of funding for new vehicles for the city. Is that correct?
There's a recommended motion at the top of page 15.
I can move it. I move to support the staff's recommendations of the two CIP projects for fiscal year 2023 to 2024.
Second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sai,
Yes.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
And Vice Chairperson Solon.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. The fourth item on the agenda is consider name change from San Marino Center to San Marino Community Center. Can we please have a presentation from the Community Services Director Johnson?
Hi, good evening. Item number 4 begins on page 20 of your packet. And hopefully you've had an opportunity to read the background. I will just paraphrase a little bit from the staff report that back in 2004, the facility was purchased by the Women's Club, and records indicate that council approved the name change in and around that same year in December to the San Marino Center. And it was interesting, it was actually spelled that way back then. In 2022, when council approved the $8.4 million renovation last year, staff shared that city administrators and council members received some feedback over the years that there was some confusion related to the ownership and functionality of the facility. Comments and questions received ranged from, I thought it was owned by the Women's Club when the announcement was made that the city was going to do the renovation, that, who owns it? How does it function? I don't even know what that building is. I know I personally myself probably received 5 comments. Okay, so I shared that with the community liaisons, council liaisons at that point, shared it with the city manager at that point, and they said, you know what, we probably should bring this forward to council to see if they might want to consider a name change. In my experience, because the building serves as an all-inclusive community center, I thought just simply adding the word community would really help us kind of retain the branding of the name, but also connotate functionality that it is a community center building, but then it also sounds much more inclusive. So the historic consultants were also we reached out to them and asked them to please render whether there was any risk because there is some historic component to the building, but changing the name, does that have any, bearing? Does council have that jurisdiction? And they said, absolutely no problem. The name is not protected under any historic, considerations. So we cleared that. We also talked to the city attorney. We said, how do we go about changing the legal name or the official formal name of the building? He explained that it could be done simply through council resolution. So today we are asking the commission to consider including the word community in the facility's formal name. And if the commission concurs, we request that the city council approve of the name change via a council resolution. This is somewhat of a time-sensitive decision as fabrication is set to begin on the new monument sign, as well as the exterior building signage that will be on the two different, there's two other building signs. The northwest edge of the property facing Huntington, as well as facing the parking lot. And by chance to bring those late in the day on Friday, I actually received renderings from the construction manager. I'm so sorry I forgot those. Kristen, are they?
I can pull them up really quick.
Oh, okay. We can, if you guys are interested in seeing the signs. They came too late to be included in the packet.
Can I make a quick comment as it's being pulled up?
Yeah.
This sounds great. I actually had a comment about Stoneman Building. So as a somewhat newcomer to the city and everything is like, pick up at Stoneman, drop off at Stoneman. When you actually Google it or search it on the internet, nothing comes up. You have to type in, San Marino Recreation Department. And so it's like, anyways, if there's kind of a
Branding and yeah.
that, I think that building is the one that made.
Well, and I think, the city has grappled for so many years with that particular facility. And that will be coming up as a council priority initiative, not from our department. I don't know if you're aware, but that is an initiative from the Public Works area this year to really aid council in determining a path forward for that facility. So what Kristen has pulled up is that looks like the monument sign, that first rendering. So we would add the word community. And then the next one. That's other things, part of the sign package. Yeah, there it is. That sign appears to be the one that will be facing south, which directs, it's part of the wayfinding to say the community center. If you're facing north, community center is on your left, the library, Crowell Public Library is on your right. And then Kristen, is there a rendering of, do you have the one where it actually shows the Huntington Drive building? Didn't he include one of those?
I'm not seeing it.
Maybe the very first one? No.
That was the-
Oh, there it is. I apologize. Fairly tiny. Do we have a pointer? Yeah, right there. You can see it on the building as well. Yeah. So with that, that ends my report, and we'll let you take it from here.
Are there any questions from the commission? Commissioners? No questions? Okay, would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? Okay. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Okay, at this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. No, okay. Motion, I move to request that the city council approve of the name change from San Marino Center to San Marino Community Center. It is a motion? Moves. Second?
Second.
Second, okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sai.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
And Vice Chairperson Solon.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. The fifth item on the agenda is fiscal year 2023-24 priority initiative, rebuild a sense of community. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson?
Thank you. I'll let Kristen pull up the slide again. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn all of it. So hopefully you have had a chance to review this staff report in your packet. It begins on page 22. I have included a few slides, 4 or 5, that really bring the priority initiatives coming out of this department to a pretty high level with a lot of detail within the staff report itself. But I wanted to at least help the commission understand the actual process. So as the article in the newspaper explained, we are already working staff along with council to identify priority initiatives that began in January. The particular initiative for the community services department, which includes the recreation division, was actually a council-driven theme to support post-pandemic community building programs and initiatives. I like to believe that this initiative actually began, a portion of it began with council's approval to renovate the property next door. And so as we move into developing an operating budget for that new facility, it really is phase two of an initiative, a facilities initiative that began last year. Okay. And then so the part one of the priority initiative out of the department will be expanding facilities, the new community center. Part two are the community building programs. And then I'm not sure if you all have heard, but there was some community outreach that was done. Hopefully you had an opportunity to participate in that survey. It is out on the city's website. And there's an open-ended question for public comment at the end of that survey. How many initiatives are there total? Was there 7 or 8? Citywide, there's 7 or 8. So this is just one out of our department. And then that survey ends tomorrow. As I stated, in the fall of 23, the building will be completed and the new facility will open. Rec staff will relocate from the Stoneman building, but programming will remain until the path forward for this facility is determined. Council's vision of a community services campus will become a reality in September, hopefully August, September timeframe, or whenever we get to open. So we're going to go from the library being a 30,000 square foot facility that we maintain and operate to adding the community center, which will be an additional 12,000 square feet. So just this campus alone, not including Stoneman, as the staff report showed on page 24, I showed a table there that identified the amount of facilities that the CSD department oversees. So we'll go from about 5,200,000 square feet to 64,400 square feet of facility space that just this department alone oversees. And we're charged with operating it, staffing it, okay? And so maintaining it, programming it, and the new facility, the community center, will provide not only programs, but it will be highly used for rentals and event space. This is the only community center space that our city owns. And we anticipate that just because we know the demand for rental space in our market, in our area is very high. When the facility was not renovated, a lot of people had to go elsewhere and to seek space somewhere else. So we already know that once we open the door, there's going to be a high demand for this facility, and we are completely excited to open it up and program it. Both facilities will then operate 7 days a week. Libraries open 7 days a week. The facility will have the capacity to open 7 days a week as demand dictates. So for a combined service level impact, that's, I talk a lot about our participation report that we gave to you guys a couple months ago. We anticipate going from serving 275,000 people with everything that we do internally in indoor space, the library here, to going up over 300,000, probably more around 325,000 people that we will serve annually. That's indoors as well as that it does also include our special events in our outdoor spaces like Lacey Park and the swimming pool at the San Marino High School. So, but that 18% increase hopefully tells a powerful story that we need additional staffing resources. Okay. So the personnel request that we're going to be making is partly related to the new building and partly related to the second part of the initiative, which is the programming. So we're going to be asking for a full-time facilities technician position. The position will, and you see the fiscal impact there. The position will assume supervisory responsibilities of 3 part-time building attendants that are currently being performed. This supervisory function is being performed by a programmer. That payroll title is called rec supervisor. We need to shift those duties away from that programmer, that recreation professional that programs, that's their subject matter expertise, to allow that supervisor to assume the new programming efforts in part 2. So hopefully you had a chance to look at that job analysis and you found that to be helpful in the justification and rationale for that position. Then we are also asking for new part-time maintenance assistant hours. That is essentially part-time hours to augment the fact that the new facility along with the new program will also require nights and weekends work. So we have to cover a lot more hours of operation in the new building, as well as new programs that are coming online. For a fiscal impact for this particular, the facilities impact hovers around 148,000. And it is important to note that there will be revenue offset to support these positions. Hopefully you read that in the staff report. So the part 2 is the community building programs. This was a council-driven request that we look to find some way to bring some new creative programming. The first tie-in was with the DEI task force, who really wanted us to put together a music event that showcased multicultural music. So we dovetailed that with our third concert of the Summer Sunset Concert Series. So we're converting that, but that also tied to a DEI task force request as that the city endeavored last year through that. So that was one of them. So that was bullet point number 3. But to activate the community center there, we plan on having quarterly dance parties. Those are intergenerational. I did give quite a bit of background on those. Hopefully you had a chance to read up on that as well. Let me get to that page. Intergenerational events, seasonal dance themes. The music will appeal to all ages. If we feel like the music event is not as popular, we know that the magic show, variety shows are very popular. We're going to try to bring together cross-generational or intergenerational programming. That's the essence of the quarterly dance parties or quarterly events that that appeal to all ages. We also know that we have a hard time reaching that youth population. This was an event that I ran in another state that I worked in. It was an award-winning event. And so I have a feeling we'll go over well here. It's a youth rock band competition. So ran it past my experts here, and we really believe that we can partner with the music center here in town. And that then will become a really popular annual event that families can get around. We can support our young musicians, and that too would be a great way to bring the community together at Lacey Park. Then we have a personnel request. There's the part-time fiscal impact there with the operating expenses to kind of run this type of event. Had it detailed in the report for a summary of about 52,600 total. You combine the total fiscal impact of both part 1 and part 2, gets you to, again, I know you all saw the math in the staff report, around a $200,000 ask for the personnel request as well as the additional programming. And it is important to note that there will be potential revenue offset between 300 and 400,000. And that staff is currently developing the operational budgets on the expense side as well as the revenue targets. They'll be presented as part of our operating presentation to council. It should be also noted that parking capacity for this property will determine a maximum facility use and revenue generation. I am currently in the process, the city, me, and the city manager, we will be meeting to really detail an updated facility use agreement with San Marino Unified. Currently, we are allocated only 48 spaces. And so we know that the property in the parking lot oftentimes throughout the year sits underutilized in the nights and weekends time period, which we believe that will be prime rental space Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over at the new community center. So we really need to update that agreement, and we will also do a great deal of comparing and calendar management as it relates to respecting the middle school and the school in general, their school calendar and school functions when they use the auditorium. You know, absolutely. We will probably end up meeting. I met with Dr. Lynn recently. We talked about an automated solution for a shared calendar to be able to say, okay, you know, they've got the auditorium used, so therefore parking lot's going to be full for, you know, a middle school, you know, basketball game or a volleyball game or some function. So we would want to make sure that we would black out, you know, renting our facility and that kind of, you know, collaboration and really high level planning and organization as it relates to utilizing that parking lot. So that will, throughout the first year, we won't really know where our revenues are going to fall. We have to build out the program and build out all the activity in the new facility because we really don't have any historic, anything that really is historically true data to use because the building was never renovated. It wasn't a desirable place. It was only really used internally. There were some rentals, but not to the level that we know now there's going to be demand. So with that said, that concludes my presentation. And this is a receive and file item because this has already gone to council. And so I felt it important to bring it back to you to just keep you informed of what conversations are already up at the council level in relation to the development of the budget. But if you have any clarifying questions, I'm more than happy to field those questions and any advice and suggestions, recommendations, absolutely available.
A quick suggestion for the community building programming. I don't know if you've considered ping pong, but in a heavily Asian population and I think, you know, as previously discussed, our programming seems to be a little bit, there's a lot less for adults. It could fill a big gap. My father and his brother will travel to Glendale, to Pasadena, to Walnut, Diamond Bar, and I've been there in those ping pong events, and it is packed. I mean, people are, you know, really. I mean, if the goal, if one of the goals is to draw people, and then also to have that cost recovery and charge, you know, a nominal fee for a weekly event, I'd say for this population, it could be quite successful. So just
I know we have, thank you. That is a great, and that is on our radar. One of the things that may hinder us as we program the space is going to be storage. So we currently will be storing lots of tables, chairs, things like that. That is banquet space type stuff. Activity equipment storage is going to be really tight, but we have wonderful ideas for passive recreation, active recreation, and we're just going to have to consider all of those things. I know we have I can name a few other things. We have board games. You know, we want to make sure we have an ability for our, at least our seniors to drop in. Okay, we do have plans for fireside and to really make it that a very warm and welcoming space for our active adult population to come in, and ping pong, you know, would be a great walk-in. Any of the board games, puzzles, card games, we will be bringing our bridge program back. Any other kind of,
Yeah, we're also planning on having like senior dances and those types of events on some of the Friday evenings as well. But yeah, Kathy's right with the storage aspect of it. We need to formulate and see what the space actually looks like once it's completed.
do you guys remember
To see.
the storage cubes we had here? Do you guys remember those? We actually had metal
Containers.
like cargo containers for storage, because there was no storage over there. And so, yeah, they were just right of it. We don't want storage, cargo containers on the property anymore. So we are limited with storage, and we're gonna have to be really creative. Once we get into the space, we kind of know what the space is gonna look like, but great idea, ping pong. Thank you.
And just on the kind of adult program, just to stress that, because I've heard it from others
Yeah.
as well. A lot of these tend to gear towards either seniors or youth or kids. If there's something, I don't know, yoga, like yoga mats. don't
Oh,
take much
yes.
space. Bring your own yoga mat
Yeah.
and do.
We're definitely gonna expand on that population as well. That's a challenging one. I consider myself part of that one, just because the parents are so busy with all the external activities that their kids already have. They've been able to, like we were talking earlier, Cub Scouts to Little League to soccer, so the parents kind of put everything aside to make sure that their kids are getting everything they can. But what we have had some success with is parent and me programs. So like Lacey Park, we have parent and me soccer, we had parents and me yoga. Those things have been successful. So we would like to try some of those things as well with the parent and me. Adults, we're talking right now about something that sounds really fun. It's like a glow in the dark egg hunt for adults only at Lacey Park or something. So we are trying to think of things that might be enticing to, try to find a babysitter or something like that. But it is a very challenging targeted population.
But fitness and wellness is absolutely at the top of
Yeah.
our radar. We had a yoga, chair yoga, we have had regular yoga. Correct, at the facility. So we're for seniors, but we need to expand our instructor pool as well. So that is my experience in really having a thriving adult fitness and wellness program really is the key, is finding qualified instructors that really want to work with your municipality. They like the facility. This is not a gym. It's not a fitness center. It's, we're not going to have it's not retrofitted for super high level hardcore group X or anything like that. But some of the mind body fitness stuff would easily fit over here. And so we are absolutely going to be on the hunt for new instructors and going to find a way to, if I have to take a big ad out in the newspaper, all newspapers in a 10-mile radius, it's really about recruiting those instructors. So if you know of any, please let us know.
There's one in Garfield Park every Saturday. My husband always goes to. I think it's like charges $10 per, whoever comes gets, give her $10. and
Interesting.
Yeah.
But also just to not cannibalize the local businesses, there are yoga.
Absolutely.
here.
That's exactly right. We don't like to duplicate services, and we have to be respectful of the other gyms in town. Absolutely.
Yeah, Commissioner Sai, if you have any ideas for that adult area, that you hear anything that people are interested, please just make sure and share them with us. Thank you.
Any additional questions? I would like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? Okay. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
Okay. At this time, I'll bring the item back to the commission for further discussion. Any additional questions? No, and we're not voting on this, correct?
No.
Okay. All right. Do we have any written communication or public writings for distribution?
That's if you guys receive anything.
No. Okay. I feel like it's too early to adjourn, but any additional comments, questions? Okay.
I have a question for
Yes.
the secretary. Do we need formally, do they need to read the recommendation?
No, received and filed, don't
Okay.
need a motion.
And one quick
Okay.
question on the Lacey Park Committee, does it make sense for me to report back to this group at all,
Sure.
or?
Sure.
So we just met once, but I think the big picture is they only received one bid for the $150,000 to redo Lacey Park. And even that one bid wasn't to bring the project to completion. It was only covered essentially planning for it. So I think the plan right now is to go back to council to request more funds because it looks like with the amount that was allocated, it's impossible to actually follow through with the anticipated project. So that's just a quick update.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything else? No, okay, this meeting is adjourned at 6:56 until the next meeting, March 13th, 6 p.m. in the bathroom.
Are we going to the community center after it's built or are we gonna move?